offer our respect to elders, past, present, and emerging, who have stewarded and continue to steward this land throughout generations. We thank all the people here from the Grand Bronze and welcome us to do this amazing artistic work here on your lands. And we encourage those of you who are also settlers and guests to join us in learning about, honoring, and directing resources towards the Indigenous peoples whose land we are on today and every day. And I'd love to introduce Rhiana Yazzie, the
Yesterday I was on this side.
Do you want me to? I'll just you can do it.
We have muscle memory.
Okay.
This is not part of the show. Good afternoon. My name is Rhiana Yazzie, and I am a citizen of Navajo Nation. My clans are Kanazani and Tachini, so I've already met a few relatives while I've been up here in Portland. So let me know if you were here. So we started this process a year ago, and so this is a story about Intermountain Indian Boarding School, and that boarding school was the largest boarding school in the country. It had over 2,000 students, and it was located in Brigham City, Utah, which is just north of Salt Lake City, sort of at the top edge of where the Great Salt Lake is, off to the east. And so we're both children of people who went to boarding schools, and so Danielle's mother went to Intermountain. My father went to a boarding school in that area near the Navajo Nation. And so what we wanted to do was take this inspiration that Danielle had about her mother's boarding school experience, and then we sort of combined these stories that we had growing up. Because I know for myself that my brother and sister and I, our lives were deeply affected by the fact that my father went to boarding school. And so we met all summer into the fall, just sort of like emptying this container of thoughts and feelings and metaphors and images about our experiences with boarding school. And then I sort of like took this process and started sorting through it when she was like, okay, I'm going to write the libretto. and so the thing that I find really interesting about this story is that, so it takes place in 1984, and that's the last year that Intermountain Boarding School was open. It was closed because the BIA decided to stop funding it. Now, it's an interesting, complicated story because it opened in 1950, and all of the stories and atrocities that you hear about boarding schools were very much happening at that time. And then you fast forward to 1971, members of the American Indian movement actually submitted a lawsuit to try to shut down the school because of atrocities that were happening there. And then there was actually a riot in 1975. But at the same time, you know, as we're starting to get into the 70s and the early 80s, and you're thinking about Indian country, so here you have students, and these are the students that we're going to see in our story. All of their parents were very close to that timeline of when Native people were forcibly removed from their lands, forcibly sent to boarding schools across the country, still had a strong grasp of their languages and cultures. And so here you have this group of young people who are coming from that, still being taken away into boarding schools. And then because of the American Indian movement, things that happened, like the occupation of Alcatraz in 1971, and then the occupation of Wounded Knee in 1973, you started seeing this Red Power movement happening. And as a result of that, you started seeing legislation change, like suddenly in 1978 we had the Indian Child Welfare Act, and we also had the Native American Religious Freedom Act that was passed. And so it was in 1978 that it was legal for Native people to be able to practice their culture, their ceremonies, their languages, their religions. And so here you have this group of students students that are coming of age in this time. And when you think about reservation life, it starts to be less isolated because transportation, now most people have cars instead of like wagons and horses, which my dad had when he was little. And then the economics of that began to get just a little bit better. And so then Michael Jackson releases Thriller. And so imagine that you're this young person in a boarding school coming of age in the late 70s, going into it's 1984. And by that point, tribes had been trying very hard to now take over the way that students are educated in boarding schools. And so they were allowed to practice their religion and their language. They weren't being beaten for that, mostly. And so this is that point where we're sort of like, yeah, we could tell this story of like, the atrocities that happened in boarding school, but at the same time, we really wanted to show that like, it's 1984 and these kids, it's a much more complicated thing because tribes are getting involved in running schools. And so when Intermountain no longer has funding, it's like, great, you're taking away the school now that we're starting to get control of it. So it becomes a really complicated mix. And so we're going to follow the students and sort of see like what's in their hearts, where are they going. The libretto, you're not going to see the entire story. You're going to see them about to the halfway point. But these are young Indian people trying to come of age, and they've got passion and love and life, and just remember what it was like to be a teenager and fall in love. And then Michael Jackson's there, and you're learning the moonwalk. But you also have your mom on the reservation, and it's complicated. So we're taking a walk into this story, and we're very, very much embracing the comedy of it. And as the story continues and it ultimately finishes, we'll see this very complicated, estuary, I feel like, of native culture, modern American culture, and just native people trying to live in two worlds. So, with that, I want to talk longer than the whole thing is. So here we are, and thank you so much for coming this afternoon, and why don't we get started? Okay, all right.
And for those of you that are more opera audiences rather than theater audiences, I'll be reading what's called the stage directions. And so what you would usually see happening on the stage, I'll just be speaking it. So like the setting and action. Little Lips, an opera. Libretto by Rhiana, Yazzie, music by Danielle. Intermountain Indian Boarding School, 1984. Brigham City, Utah, northeast of the barren fingers of the Great Salt Lake. We're inside the hull of an old forgotten building, a military-style design.
Intermountain Indian School. Longitude, -112 degrees. 0 minutes, 32.4 west. Latitude, 41 degrees. 30 minutes, 22.19 north. Permanently closed. Before it was Intermountain Indian School, it was the Bushnell General Army Hospital. And in 1945, Shirley Temple came to visit. Nat King Cole sent us on here to the Army patients, but that was before all of us were here. Before it became the boarding school. The hospital got converted into an Indian boarding school, the largest ever imagined, the largest in the country. In the world, 2,000 students, bigger than the moon, smaller than the sun. What a day to tell a story.
The dark hole of the building comes alive, transforming into a cafeteria, as we reveal to the audience that we've been listening to Ruby, the lunch lady of the Intermountain Indian School.
Green frozen peas and little orange carrots got in the cubes. Commodity food. I used to say it was oddity food. But outside I have a big garden. I grow the important things. I keep the seeds and grow the children. Grow. the little ones.
Students crowd into the cafeteria. They sit with their friends, nibble from their trays of food, and giggle with their friends, and show off to their crushes.
Welcome back, welcome back. I missed you all this summer.
We missed you too!
Various students hug Ruby. She's one of their favorite maternal figures.
What did you do this summer?
Herd sheep.
I hope you're good to your families. They missed you all year long while you're at boarding school.
Family? What family? My foster parents put me to work.
You did? Well, where did you work, Victor?
Pumping gas.
Oh, you're lucky. My family doesn't even have a car. I got this saddle rash.
Ooh. You're lucky to be with your mom.
Oh, actually, it was my auntie's.
Victor, you're killing me. She's only a 17-year-old girl.
They look away, shy and embarrassed.
Jackson, butt out, will you? Hey, Victor, buddy, just remember, I'm your wingman. I got you. This is our last year of school. We're men. And I'm going to make sure nobody of mine leaves this place a virgin. Shh, Jackson!
You boys, I'm watching you.
Shh, Jackson, I'm watching Mari.
Mari! Miracle, my girl! You're back!
A bright-eyed young Native woman walks into the cafeteria. She shines. Everyone stops to look at her.
Intermountain! You look the same, but I've got new eyes. Intermountain, I hope you're ready for me.
Marigold, my girl, you're radiant, and I bet I know why.
You know why? Marigold, my best friend, she's right. Tell me that you didn't. Tell me you aren't. Oh, Lily, don't be silly, and if I did, I'd tell my best friend every smallest, teeniest, juiciest detail. Oh, good.
Ruby, the lunch lady, holds a tray heaping with something underneath a large napkin.
Marigold, you Ojibwe girls go through something special about this time of your life.
You remembered.
I never forget.
She pulls the napkin off to reveal a pile of delicious bright red strawberries.
You're right. My berry fast is officially
She grabs a strawberry.
over. Yum.
Marigold, there's something different about you.
Jackson, there's something alive about you.
Hey, wingman, don't be shy. It's only a 17-year-old girl.
Tell us, Marigold, what is so special about Ojibwe girls this time of your life?
Is it like a
Sort of.
A
Ceremony? A coming of age? You could say that. Tell us, Marigold, what makes an Ojibwe girl different than a Navajo girl? Arapaho, Lakota, Paiute, Apache. All of us together at Intermountain Indian School wants to know. Well, I guess it's time.
Time?
When you feel a traveling shaft of light sweep across your face, we don't eat the sweet berry for a year. And then when we do, it drips down your tongue, over your lips, so sweet, so ripe, so ready. I feel like I had one taste of the whole world, and I want to try some more.
The bell rings.
Assembly time! You all better get to the gymnasium. Don't be late.
The students rush off, except for one. Her back is to Ruby, the lunch lady.
Young lady, I said go! You better hurry before you get in trouble. I don't like to write kids up. Please don't make me take my pencil out of my hairnet.
The girl turns.
I beg your pardon?
Miss Ross is 20 years old and a teacher at International. She could easily be mistaken for one of the students, if she wasn't white.
Miss Ross, it's you! I thought you were a student. You look so much like them. You're so close in age to them, you... Never mind.
I might look young, but I'm not naive. Spare me your reprieve. I'm here to teach. By the mercy of God, I'm here to give the little ones direction.
Because you can relate. You're so close in age.
Only in the natural am I young. Am I a wife? Am I a teacher? In the supernatural, I am God's messenger.
Right. I keep forgetting.
Blows a whistle.
shoelace broke.
Today is an important day. Don't be late.
With a slight change of energy, the cafeteria becomes the gymnasium at a school assembly. Miss Ross blows her whistle again, and the Eagle Airs, the Intermountain School girls' drill team, is dressed in short satin blue dresses, white gloves, and white Southwest-style Indian boots.
It's easy, girls. Just follow my rules and remember my choreography.
The girls do a routine, dancing to a song that gives the vibes of Flashdance from 1984. They sing and dance provocatively while the boys and administration watch nearby.
I feel so free. I feel so alive. I wonder if Victor is watching me.
I'm positive he is. Yeah.
I like it so much.
I can tell.
We can all tell.
Except him.
We need to tell him.
What if he doesn't like me?
I have to try.
What if I misread the whole thing? When I catch him staring at me, it's because I have lipstick on my teeth.
No.
No, he's being nice to me because he feels sorry for me.
No.
He's calling me every day because he really is bad at math.
Lily, we're young. We're free. These are the days we'll remember for the rest of our lives. I want so bad to make a mistake. I want so bad to die trying to live. Now is the time to deserve to be loved. We deserve to be loved.
When our desire,
rushes through our bodies.
the
magic of feeling loved.
We deserve that. You deserve that. I deserve that.
Jackson's already wrapped around your little finger. He'll do whatever you ask him to do. He's not so tough when he's around you.
I know.
The girls bring their routines with clothes, transferring the energy to the boys, who are in a serious Ralph Macchio mode, dressed as the Proud King. They are all extremely fine breakdancers, doing the robot dancing machine moves.
Is she looking?
They're all looking.
We are blessed, young and free.
Come on, girls, share that beat of love.
They get close to Miracle and show off their moves, exciting all the girls, especially Lily.
I can't stand it when he looks at me like that.
Mr. Ross, Miss Ross's husband, an administrator, enters the gymnasium, stands next to his wife. He watches the dances, not sure if he approves or not. Miss Ross fidgets, smiles at him, trying to read him. The song and dance end, and Miss Ross tries to reach for her husband's arm, but he steps away, heading to the podium and mic stand, as the school claps and cheers for the performers.
I usually welcome you back to the beginning of the school year with big hope and expectation. The administration of this school wants nothing more than to grow little ones into grown, productive citizens. Not only to be good Indians, to be good people. Many of you traveled hundreds of miles to attend this school, not just Navajo, but Lakota, Ojibwe, Apache, Winnebago, or places like South Dakota, Arizona, Wisconsin, and Nevada, leaving your homes for a hope of something good to come into your future. But it's 1984. It is not the autumn we expected, and we can't keep our doors open. The Great Father in the East is bringing Intermountain Indian School to a close. In 2 months, we'll be gone.
What? That's not fair.
Not everyone has a good place to return to when Intermountain closes. Many can transfer to another boarding school, or maybe a school near your home, or a school in a new state. Maybe back to your reservation life, back to reservation strife. No longer growing to men and women that we hoped or what we told them.
He exits. Miss Ross follows. The students stop her.
Miss Ross, is this true?
Didn't you hear him, Victor? We're all going home before the end of the semester.
But is it true?
He must have gotten final word today. Even I wasn't sure.
She exits. The teens all look at each other, still in their festive costumes. The mood drastically changed. They look at Ruby.
I'll see if I can find out more.
She exits. The scene continues as the students regroup and comfort each other.
What will happen now? Where do we go from here?
I know my grandma and my aunts will be happy to have me home. Take the duties of herding the sheep off their shoulders. But
What?
do I want to herd sheep my whole life? You won't herd sheep your whole life. Whoever heard of that?
don't want to herd sheep? Am I a traitor to my family because I don't want to go home?
Family is all we have.
I've seen things come into Intermountain that I never would have experienced. I want to dance. I want to wear a short skirt. I want that rush of life that comes over me when I kick my heels into the air.
It looks so good.
It feels so good. I feel so free.
But are we free?
It feels free to me at 17.
In 1984,
Leaving the boarding school. Is it the same school our parents went to, or a little more fun?
A little more benign?
But are we blind or are we happy?
I want to be happy.
If I go home, where will I go? I have no home. I barely had one this summer. I worked and I avoided that house. I avoided my foster family. I slept in the back of my boss's truck under the stars. The millions of stars. Those were my only friends.
Well, I'm your friend, Victor.
They stare into each other's eyes for a moment too long, and both break away from the feeling.
For all I care, this school can close. I don't even want to be here now. Everything I learned, I taught myself. Everything I loved, I found myself.
He takes Marigold's hand, kisses it. All the students tease and coo. She takes back her hand and turns toward her girlfriends. Energized, Jackson continues.
I won't get on that bus to go home. I'll go roam. I'll drop out. I find out what life is all about in my own way, my own life.
What about you, Marigold? What will you do?
Well, I don't know if I would want to roam, and I don't know if I want to go home. But I know this life is all my own. It's all of our lives that this school is containing. I don't care if it closes, because our lives are opening.
Ruby, the lunch lady, returns. The kids all look to her to see what intel she has about the school closing.
What did you find out? What did you learn? What's going to happen to us?
It's true, my little ones. The school will close. The BIA. The BIA.
Bureau of Indian Affairs.
Department of the Interior made a decision again about our lives, about our school.
Right about the time we made it our home.
Utah senators, Utah legislators didn't hear our cries, never heard our concerns. Without any money, the school can't go on.
What about you, Ruby? What will you do?
Me? You are all so kind, thinking about me when your whole lives are starting with an ending. My job is to feed you, nurture you, grow you, before you leave, but the harvest is coming too soon. I want to watch you, care for you, keep you safe, be the loving brown eyes who come to all these years safely to get you into the world, safely as I could. I remember when I came to the school, alone too too young, hope in my heart, fear in my sides. I got through because I learned to help. To help became my passageway through life. To help became my signal, my light. To help to love, to be a stone to stand on, a light to guide you, to water you, to nourish you, to feed you, to grow you. Now, we're left to cut short my times with you. What next? I'm not sure. I'm not sure just yet.
You've been like our mother, when our mothers were a million miles away, when our mothers were living on the moon, so far away.
When we had no mothers.
We love you, Ruby. We'll miss you, Ruby.
Ruby exits. The students later on into the next scene where they begin to gather together.
We can't sit still.
We can't sit still.
Otherwise, we give in to someone else's prescribed fate.
we have to move. We have to move.
Otherwise, we let them decide for us.
We have to speak. We have to speak out.
Otherwise, they become our voice.
We have to do. We have to do.
Do something to save our family.
Otherwise known as our Intermountain School.
It's not a school. It's our family. We are the family we create.
I was taken from my home when I was 6.
I was taught to speak English with a ruler smashing my knuckles.
I lost my mother to the fort.
I was taken from my family by the church down the street.
I was driven to Intermountain by my older brother. He saved me from a fight.
Now here we are, the strange prescripted paths that have brought us here.
And now we're grown enough to know enough about what we want.
I don't want to go home.
I want to be grown in my own direction.
I'm a woman. I'm human. I'm going to taste all that life has to offer. Here or there, wherever this path leads, I'll be leading myself. If I need a school, if I don't, it's my decision. It's my tongue, it's my taste, it's my life.
And by the way, if the school closes, we can never see the girls again.
That's the first thing I thought of. How much time do we really have?
2 months.
What can we do in 2 months?
We can keep the school open. In 2 months, we'll all be stripped away, shopped away, shuffled away.
Maybe we can do something to keep the school open.
Yes, like the American Indian movement on Alcatraz.
And who did they?
We can do something. Bring attention to our little school.
What did Miss Ruby say? Something about the BIA?
The DOI?
This is the job for the FBI.
FBI?
Full-blooded Indians.
More like the female body inspectors.
Yeah, I'll take that title too.
Wish.
Sometimes wishes do come true.
How about a relay run? Yeah, what he said. I mean, yeah, what she said. Oh. A relay run. From the Capitol in Salt Lake City, right here to the gymnasium at Intermountain. We'll make a press release and get all the Salt Lake City officials and federal government officers to hear us advocate for our school to stay open.
I couldn't have thought of a better idea myself.
I think you did.
Oh, but you came up with the advocacy and the geography part of it. Oh, by the way, I need some help with geography. Can I call you later?
Sure.
Something's come over me. We have 2 months, right? Before we leave.
Well, not if this relay run is successful.
What do you think about Jackson?
Not much.
No. What do you think about
Jackson. Oh. That's an entirely different story. Yeah, I like it. He's Victor's best friend, so if you go steady with Jackson, then Victor will have to be around me.
I'm thinking of more than just going steady.
No, you don't mean.
Yes, I think I'm ready to go more than just steady.
I knew there was something different about you when you came back from Wisconsin.
I've got 2 months, Lily, before the school closes. Before I'm shipped to another school.
If it closes, I think we got a really good plan now.
If I don't want to make it all the way to Jackson.
Something tells me you won't need an entire 2 months. You can make that happen in 2 hours. But whatever you do, I have been told that you should make them last longer than 2 minutes.
Lily!
Well, what do you think about Victor?
Nothing much.
I mean me and Victor.
Oh. You two could be cute together. If either of you could get the courage to do something.
I know. I feel like he likes me, but I'm just not sure.
I feel like Lily likes me, but I'm just not sure.
Well, you've only got 2 months, Victor. At the rate you're going, you'll need 2 years. Better start out.
He pushes Victor towards Lily.
Oops.
Hey!
Sorry.
Oh,
I'll remember these days of September, these warm days of passion and youth for the rest of my life. My freedom, my choices, my decisions.
I'm going to ask Marigold to marry you.
You what?
I've got 2 months to make her mine. We'll leave the school together and make our own home, a real home. The kind of home I would have wanted to be a boy in. She'd be the best mother, and I'll be the best father.
Wow. And I can barely even talk to Lily.
2 months. We've got 2 months to save our school,
to carve out our paths,
to run our race. 2 months.
2 months.
2 months.
The girls do a pinky swear. The guys do an elaborate robot handshake. Victor gets too into it and bumps into Miss Ross, who suddenly appeared behind him.
Victor, watch where you're going.
Oh, Miss Ross. I'm so sorry. Let me help you out.
He extends his hand to her, and she extends hers. He helps to pull her to her feet, and she brushes off her skirt.
Thank you, Victor.
Miss Ross, what do you think about the school closing? Where will you go?
I guess I'll go wherever my husband goes.
That will make you happy? Oh, you haven't thought about it yet.
No, not yet.
I hope you will.
He smiles. Miss Ross holds eye contact with Victor, then blushes and quickly looks away. Victor is oblivious as usual.
I'll see you in class. Don't be late. We've got a lot to learn in just 2 months.
Victor turns to his friends and runs off with the rest of the students who holler as they exit. We've come up with an idea!
We think we can save our school! I must have knocked something into my head. What was that? How strange. How strange these little ones are. How strange these little ones are to me. To me, yet still so little.
Mr. Ross enters.
These young ones have a plan, they say.
I heard.
On behalf of the students, on behalf of the staff, on behalf of you, my wife, I'm angry too.
I can feel those feelings myself.
I don't want this school to close, but I can't control that,
You think it will for sure?
without a doubt.
But the students feel they have a chance. If they raise their voices, make a noise, create a movement, what if Intermountain becomes an Alcatraz?
Alcatraz was a prison. This is a school.
Then what becomes of us?
We'll move to Salt Lake City, be closer to our families, and closer to teaching our very own little one. This is what will become of us.
Be a mother? So young.
But also a wife, and therefore must be a mother. And for now, be teacher of these ones until you claim your calling in the home.
In 2 months.
Not much time in Intermountain.
Just 2 months.
She leans in for a kiss, but he pats her on the head. He exits. The world changes, and Miss Ross sets her books on a desk and turns to a chalkboard, writes the date on it, September 25th, 1984.
Senator Orrin Hatch, Republican from Utah, has some of the purse strings on this school.
Oh, Ronald Reagan. Maybe he needs to know.
Better send a letter to his wife. Ask her to send him to Utah.
Who will volunteer for the run?
All the students raise their hands and answer variously.
I can carve an eagle staff.
Let that be our baton. The Intermountain Rodeo Princess should speak at the end of the run. And let's dance and celebrate. Let's all wear regalia and show them we're proud to be who we are. They can't separate us. They can't tear us apart.
Because we all have wings, but some of us don't know why.
That's beautiful, Victor. You're a fool.
It's an excess.
Oh. Victor? I have something I need to tell you.
You do? Not now. Please. What's that?
He runs to his friends across the room.
Victor, you look like you saw a ghost.
I think Lily was going to tell me to hit the road. To leave her alone. She looks so serious. Like, I have to win her over before she throws me under.
Let me show you how a man talks to a woman. Oh, marigold.
Did someone say the sweetest word in the world?
If you mean your name, then yes, I agree. Marigold.
I have something to tell you, Jackson.
I have something to ask you, Marigold.
I think you'll like what I have to say better.
I think you'll thank me after I speak.
I think you're gonna fall to your knees.
I think I'll catch you in the game.
She calls him over with her little index finger beckoning him. He goes. She slides up beside him. The students watch in anticipation.
Marigold! What a girl! Not a girl, a whole lot of woman.
She whispers in his ear.
What did she say? What did she say?
Are you sure?
More than anything I've ever been sure about.
You have my heart, why not my body?
What do they say? What do they say? She is the bravest. She is the girl with the most courage. Marigold is not afraid.
Jackson is the man. He's the suavest, he's the most certain boy I've ever known.
I wonder what it would be like to be like them.
them. Lily,
Yes, Victor? What?
I need help.
With math?
Yes. With adding 1 and 1 together?
Funny, Victor. The simplest math can have the hardest problems.
If you're missing something fundamental,
Something at the core.
being sure.
Being right.
I always have to be certain when I add it up.
And I always have to check my math. Victor! Do you love me because I love you? Yes!
Hell yeah! Yes! Indeed!
Indeed?
For certain!
Okay. Well, good. You heard what I said?
Yes? I think I did.
Did you? You know what I meant.
Did I answer the wrong question? Did I hear the wrong answer?
Oh my God, he isn't saying anything. He must not feel the same way.
They smile at each other and run in the other direction.
Marigold, my darling girlfriend, I've been ready for this moment since the day I left my diapers.
Jackson, my sweet guy. I've been planning this moment all summer.
All summer.
I knew what I wanted to do with you.
With me?
Yes, you.
Yes, me?
He melts in her arms.
What did she say? What did she say?
She said yes.
You're getting married?
Not quite. Almost. Pretty much.
Did you tell him? Did you tell him? What do you think?
Jackson beams, lost in thought, caught in a beautiful daydream.
I'll say.
She definitely told me something good.
Miss Ross enters, finds Victor sitting alone on top of one of the cafeteria tables. Victor,
Sorry, Miss Ross. I'll get off the table.
is everything all right, Victor? You've lost your usual cheerful demeanor.
There's not enough time for someone like me, a doubter.
A doubter?
Not sure what to do.
You've got to remember your faith.
I have faith in all the parts of my life. Faith in the day that the sun will meet me every morning. Faith in the land to carry my feet. Faith in the water to cleanse my tears. But faith in myself? That's an entirely other world I seem to know nothing about.
Oh, Victor. I know you to be strong in language arts, versed in the sciences, fit for physical education.
It's not what I'm talking about. Miss Ross, you're married. You're mature.
I am.
These aren't your worries anymore. I don't want to make you bored.
What are you trying to say? Fit young Victor.
If I liked a girl, I wouldn't want her to know. God, I don't have a plan to help me figure out how to make her love me.
Oh, I see. You're in a real pickle jam.
You said it.
This girl, what is she like?
So smart.
Yeah? She's a born teacher?
I learn from her every day. She opens up the world to me.
That's so kind. What else is it about this girl?
She's not native to my lands.
A forbidden passion?
Another tribe.
A lost tribe?
But I know where she's from.
Let me ask you, does this girl have faith?
Oh, yes. Every day, so faithfully kind, so faithfully beautiful.
Faithful in service to the Lord?
Sorry, is this making you bored?
Oh, Victor, I'm sure this girl sees you too. You're hard to miss. If you love her, maybe she can't love you. Maybe circumstances are what's really keeping you apart. If it weren't for the cruelty of life that forces you to live in different worlds, I'm sure she would jump at the chance to touch you. I mean, to love you. Maybe she loves you now, but must love you from afar. Don't despair. If you can't take her into your arms, the beat of love still vibrates in the air. Maybe that's what God meant for us to feel.
The air?
The love that is all around. Love that isn't physical, love that is ethereal.
I have a feeling you know the her I'm talking about. But if I know you know that I know you know her, then be sure to tell her lightning cracks the air and makes it physical sooner or later. Thank you for your advice. I think I know what I need to do now.
He jumps up and hugs her, lets her go, realizing he's hugging a teacher.
Oh, there's so much love in this Indian boy's heart. It's overflowing. Oh, please forgive me.
He exits.
Thank you, Lord, for you've already forgiven us all.
She exits. The world changes, and Marigold and Jackson are alone under the covers of their little dorm bed.
Marigold? Marigold?
Jackson,
Love has made me weak.
love has made me strong.
I feel so much older.
Catalog me and put me in a museum.
Marry me, Marigold. Whether the school closes in 2 months or if it stays open another year. Come away with me and make a home for me. Make a home with me, Mary.
Don't say those words to me to ward my guilt. I didn't expect from you more than you gave. Jackson, there's nothing here from which you must be saved.
Then allow yourself to expect more from me.
There's no trick to trap you. Just to touch you and love you. You don't have to pay me back for a fun roll in the sack.
Wait, let's unpack this loving hijack.
No, Jackson, you sit back.
Marigold, my dear, there's nothing to fear. Just a story old as time. As man, as wife, I'm giving you me, all of me, to have and to hold for your whole sexy life.
That is a wife, pretty boy, my boo-boo. How can I have hold of me if I'm holding hold of you?
Cross my heart and never tell a lie. I love you, Marigold, until the day I die.
I love you too, Jackson. I love me here with you. I love you there with me. Me here, you there. At 17, don't you know what love is? It's everywhere. Don't catch and take love. That's something I'll never be in favor of.
Is it everywhere? Then why is love always a target? When I was a boy, my home was destroyed. My tongue was silent. I thought I was in a happy home. My mom, my dad, my grandparents, my sisters. Well, I won't bore you with your own story. The story every kid in Intermountain wears in their pockets, holes in their backs, sewed patches of food, wrapped up to their necks. I'm so skeptical, you tell me.
I showed you.
That love is everywhere. That it isn't something we shouldn't capture because we can just breathe it in. That it's strong
And free.
and made so easily.
That's what I believe. What I can see.
But a roof over a home is something we build all on our own. Something made intentional. That's why I'll stand guard to our love. I will be your faithful sentinel.
Listen, boy. Your mind is on the run with my future.
Let me change the subject into something a little cuter.
She kisses him and he melts again. He throws the sheets over their heads as they disappear back into their own world for a while. On another part of the stage, Lily sits on one of the cafeteria lunch tables.
If I was a tree, I'd be fallen lumber. If I was a record, I'd be broken. If I was a quiz, I couldn't pass the Bechdel test. What kind of woman is this girl going to grow into if all I can think about are boys? One boy in particular. Oh, what kind of Indian am I going to grow into if all I am is boy crazy? One boy in particular. All of womandom needs a girl with wisdom. All of Indian country needs a man killer. And here I am spending my time and my brain cells on him. Oh, Victor, I wish you were my mister.
Ruby, the lunch lady, enters, finds Lily forlorn on the cafeteria table.
Oh, my girl, you've got it bad.
Miss Ruby, does life get any better?
It gets better because you learn to separate the rice from the husks, the corn from the cob, and a prince from a nasty old bob.
Sit through
Let's do that. Or I mean, what would it be like if you went above where you're supposed to go? So you're Charlie Cooler or better that we've been working as kind of like in a sonic poem situation. And so Michelle and I have been working through like some improvisation, and will hopefully kind of develop into a reflection into the tradition of unaccompanied singing in like North American indigenous tribes. And so for right now, we're just kind of playing along of what that means. And so Michelle will finish us out on that.
Could I have been born into gentler soil? Would that have been the nourishment needed to hold roots like mine into the ground? Could I have been a wiser gardener? Would they have been able to teach me the wicked way of the world and how to survive it? Pieces of me have died off, dried whisk carry off with the wind. And though I've grappled and torn away at the soil in retaliation, I now find myself setting the fight aside and breathing new air. Though the space left by those fragments I lost, taking in new light through the window of their absence, it occurs to me, hands covered in mud and blood and grass, that I'm the garden now. And I'm safe in the soil I choose, and the water I drink is clean enough to water the ones I love. In fact, the water I drink is my own. I am the soil, I am the gardener, I am the rain, I am the sun, I am the sun, I am the sun. It occurs to me, hands covered in mud and blood and grass, that I'm the garden now, and I'm safe in the soil I choose, and the water I drink is clean enough to water the ones I love. In fact, the water I drink is my own. I am the soil. I am the gardener. I am the rain. I am the sun. I am the sun. I am the sun.
artist here in Portland that I'm sure many of you know.
Thank you all for sticking around. I guess my first question is actually for the two of you, since we didn't get a chance to check in too much before this. I think we can go in two different directions. The first is to chat a little bit about process and what you've learned and sort of the direction of the piece moving forward. And then the other piece is like, what is useful to you in this development process that, how can we use our time with this audience to give you information that you might need?
I think for me, I would love to just have like some, from anybody really, like an overall, like a one sentence, like, well, how did that feel for you?
Great.
Like, like is it very like sustained, like
Awesome.
this, kind of thing.
Great. So the way I really like to do that is by inviting everyone in the audience to take a moment, think about this piece that we just had the privilege of seeing together, and what is the very first thing, it can be an image or a word or a moment in this piece. What is the thing that is still sticking with you? Of all the things we just saw, what rises to the very top of your immediate memory? And we can sort of do a popcorn and shout it out.
Relatable?
Relatable? I love that. The humor, yes. Sweetness. The beauty of youth, I love that. Energy, okay. What type of energy?
Just youthful energy.
Youthful energy.
Chosen family.
Chosen family. Yeah.
Different types of different expressions of love, or feelings of love.
Oh. Different expressions or feelings of love. And y'all can also speak to your experience, just having performed it as well.
Strengthening.
Strengthening.
Grounding.
Camaraderie.
Hearing that, how does that relate or not relate to the process of creating it? Does it feel aligned with what you're doing at this moment?
Yeah, it's very encouraging to hear all of those words.
Do any stand out to you in particular?
It feels like just the feedback about the characters just ringing true in that really we were setting out to try to create this connection between people, and I know it's kind of it's kind of complicated to say, like, to humanize, but as Native stories go, it often feels like we have to spend a lot of time to humanize Native characters. And so just hearing all of this like relatedness language feels so good, because that's I know for myself the biggest goal is like these characters are feeling the same thing that the audience is feeling and has felt, and that the ability to relate to them feels like, all right, we're going in the right direction.
Yeah, I think so too. One thing I didn't really think about, because of course, like, both Rhiana and I are always thinking about like intersectionality of like
Yeah.
works, and we're both like multi-genre artists and all this stuff. And so Abby saying chosen family, like I never even thought about that. Like, I don't know why I'm crying. So it's the last week.
I know why. I totally know why.
I'm supposed to get my portraits after this with Tom.
So we can have time for
Yeah, but I just think about so much about the intersectionality of of course when these characters are going to be like fully alive, like are they going to be like queer? Are they we know so much we know a little bit about what we do with their home and with their relationships to each other. And then but we only have half the play and we don't even have the music yet. Like what does that say? And then what does that say to everybody else? And so like our big goal is that it's this is a story about Native people for Native people, but that we are all people and we can all relate, like it's relational, we can all see that, and I'm so happy to hear that it doesn't feel like this is like a Native-made play that's made for a non-Native audience, but it is that, and at the same time it's really relational to others' experiences outside of it.
I find that often things, contrary to what you might think, I think the more it is made with an authentic and lived lens, the more it feels like anyone can access it because you're not pretending to have it be anything for anyone. Right? Like just the act of authentically making it is what allows everyone to see it for what it is. There's a question in the front. Yes. Hi.
I don't know if this is intentional, but the sweetness of the play, between the characters and that vulnerability is it's this little shelter for me because there's so much being taken and there's so much that has been taken. I'm identifying with the absence of parents, the absence of that family, and then putting that family together yourself, and then finally having something resembling a family, and then having that being taken away too. And there's no control. There's all this reaching out. We're gonna reach to make our own family. We're gonna reach to try to make our own future. We're gonna reach to try to put ourselves together, in a new way. And so it's really hard for me to hear all that. It's really difficult, to just hear those struggles out loud. And a lot of us are really familiar with. But then there's this little shelter that I like to be able to hide within, which is in here, which is just that sweetness of being with each other. And so that's what made it, exceptional for me. So thank you.
I was so, one of the notes that I took was the big and the small exist at the same time. This thing of horrible things are happening, truly tremendously bad and evil. And also you can be in love and you can be in young love, and the ways that these young people find resistance are so true to who they are, it's the way that they know how to do things, and I want to know how it ends so bad. So, time will tell. Okay, well, I guess I'll have to see the next iteration. Something that, where's Tim? Oh, Tay, I had to leave. What is the line about, there's a line about what it is to be free, or I have to make my own. What is that line? Do you remember off the top of your head? I have it in my.
I didn't say that.
Oh, it feels free to me. It feels free to me at 17, and that was the line that really stuck in my head. It just was sort of it gave me such a perfect lens through which to see the next couple of scenes, because I think, we're also seeing people, and what I really love about think is that I think it gives it allows for multiplicity within like an identity, you know, and I think you always leave room for people to be so many different things and for like their flaws and their limitations to be sort of like worn on the sleeve in a way that is so useful to the storytelling. Because it also felt like each character had these like little ceilings for themselves that they could not see past in certain moments, and then like they would break open in certain moments, and they could suddenly like see all of the possibilities. And yeah, it was really lovely. Danielle, I have a question for what do you do now?
Yeah. That's your
What do you do?
Well, what part of this process of developing the libretto with these amazing artists too is also hearing through other people's voices, like where the music is kind of like obviously there were points where Rhiana was already writing lyrics, right? Like when we're in rhyme and things, but there's also like part of it is discovering where other songs are, like where we insert one, where actually like, oh wow, this actually is a song, and then also choosing too, like what is a monologue, like because not everything needs to be sung, you know, and so kind of just like Rhiana's built this world of character and of like living in, and like my job now is to like create the setting of to color it, to animate it, and so it's like because an opera to me is like you should be able to just like stand in chairs and sing it, and people should be able to see like they shouldn't have to. How I was like reading stage directions, right? Like the music should act in a lot of ways like those stage directions, and like so really just trying to form what do these characters sound like? Like is Lily, like how fast does she sing? You know, or like how slow does she sing? And a lot of that is also then thinking about like, well, how would she move? How would she, like it's so like intertwined with like what this is going to be as like a whole work. And so it's a really beautiful thing to collaborate. Oh my gosh.
Amazing. I want to open it up to some questions. We have one here, or maybe a comment.
I have questions for both of them. Rhiana, first, I felt like the prologue that you gave us was so important to understanding the story, and how is that going to get incorporated into the final product? And my question for Danielle is, what made you decide that this was an opera?
Okay, so we can start with the first question. How is that prologue that you gave us going to be or not woven into this piece now?
Well,
It's such a tricky question, right? Like contextualizing, I feel like is such a tricky thing.
yeah, because one of the honest things that I thought about this entire Intermountain story was the fact that Shirley Temple came to a place that was eventually going to be like housing Indian children, you know? That to me is just like the extremes of America, how this child who's so loved and cared for in America, like went to this space where kids were so forgotten. And so in some way, I almost expected that Shirley Temple was going to show up in the story somewhere, somehow. And just sort of knowing my work, I sometimes have a little Deus Ex Machina. David Lee Roth was in my last play. I feel like ultimately we are looping back to the lunch lady, and I think that I like this, like looking down at 100 feet on the story, and then going into like the corners of the characters' parts, and then sort of like, oh yeah, I'm reminded that they're part of this bigger context of what their cultures have gone through, and then what is America. So I'm always really interested in the zoom in, zoom out moments, and I feel like that's definitely a zoom out moment. And I feel like it'll probably come back. And a little spoiler alert if anyone wants to know. I don't know, do you want to know?
Yes!
Yes!
love the self-actualized marigold. And, when I think about indigenous culture, the basic unit of a family is a parent and a child. It's not a husband and a wife. And that's why indigenous cultures have been able to be so functional in relational ways, and why things like war or violence against varying gender identities, those things didn't really get out of hand, because everyone was always an intricate part of the community, because you were either a child or you were either a parent, right? And so I really love this about like the self-actualized Native woman, because that's like built into our DNA. And so anyways, Marigold does get pregnant, at the very end, and I think the big thing that I always heard from my dad about boarding school, and I think the thing that we all know as children of the boarding school system, is that it's that sadness of like, where is your parent? You just want them to come and save you, come get you, and I think ultimately that's what is the redemption of this story, because here in boarding school, kids were forcibly taken, right? And at the very end, she decides not to go off with Jackson, who decides to join the military, and instead, her mother comes and gets her. Oh. And she's like, pack your things, we're going home, and then she's like, leave my things, I'm going home. She just goes back to this intact home, and she chooses that, despite all of the things that have rended us, torn us apart as Native people. It's just that core of the mother and child relationship that all of boarding school is just trying to rip away from us as Indigenous people, but she manages to let go. And I don't know what happens with her becoming a mother or whatever, but it's so important. This child, she's still a child, gets reunited with her mother. And that's where I feel like also Lunch Lady kind of helps to facilitate that return. So that's sort of like the full breadth of like where we go with the comedy and knowing the context of this Intermountain boarding school and the atrocities of that. But then it's like, and for Native audiences, I always want to leave them in a better place than I found them. And our non-Native audiences, I also want to leave you in a better place and your mind blown, like, wow, oh my God, I've never experienced or thought of Native people as people before. How could I have not? So, and it's not like trying to make guilt or shame, because I detest those emotions in plays when they manipulate an audience like that. I just want to go back to that feeling of connection and reminding all of us that we're people. And at the end of the day, we need to take care of each other. And at the end of the day, each of us has the actual tool to connect with each other and be happy again and choose connection, choose relationship, in whatever form that is. So that's my goal. and music will make sure that happens.
I love that. All we have is each other.
Yeah, it's a big task.
And so what is it in the core of that I think we all hear there are these things that are sort of innately of this scale, and like of the scale of opera, sort of like emotionally, but yeah, why this medium? I know it's the medium that you do, but you do many things.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is, because I know this medium really well. It's like what my training is in, and I suppose like for me, rather than, because as a composer, my options, I suppose, like
Sure.
I could have made like an instrumental piece, or I could have made a song cycle, I could write a full-on like Broadway musical,
Yeah.
like yeah. unique to its genre is that the storytelling between everything that's happening, like the music, the text, the design, the direction, the music direction, everything is involved in telling the story like so deeply, and it's so colorful. Like it's such a colorful art form, and I feel like for me at least, like with my understanding of opera, like you can just go so many levels, so deep that of these other genres I wasn't, like if I was going to write an instrumental piece, then I wouldn't be able to have text. Even if I was going to like write a text to go along with the piece. How many people read the, as they're listening to it, like, come on, it's like, and also with opera, I feel like opera is a genre that is really, people don't think of it as flexible, but it is like an extremely flexible art form. Like the way that I write, and it's like, it could be a music. Somebody could stage it as a musical, right? Like it's not like we have to be at the Met, and we wouldn't want to be there anyways. But it's like, I mean, one of those things.
Center stages.
Yeah. Okay, we'll talk about it. I just think opera is like, it's such a colorful medium, and it is something that can be, once you create the opera, I feel like opera is like building a ship, and so it's like there are so many different parts of it that like you can, it's almost like a ship in a bottle maybe, like it's like so precise, and like, but because it's like been constructed so carefully, it's also easy to like take apart and see like where the parts are, and so it can be transitioned into so many things. Like we've just heard now, like this could be a play, like a straight play.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be. So anyways, that's why.
I also feel like there is something about like the embodied, like the story being embodied that feels really important. Like to have you all specifically telling the story like with your bodies and your voices and and the writing and the everything, like that is I think one of the things that like opera needs is that sort of like authentic embodiment, and so those two things feel really connected as well, because it is a story that is about people and what was taken from them, right, and their like direct connection to one another. Maybe like one or two more questions? Yeah.
Yeah, I know you're not very far in the process, but do you imagine using different instrumentation than Western classical music, right? Do you envision using different percussive or flute influences of native cultures?
Yeah, it's come up as a question, and I think for all native composers, or composers from lots of different non-Western traditions, any composer from a non-Western tradition, I think we ask ourselves that question all the time. Like, it's like you write something here, like, do I have enough drums? Is it too much drums? Yeah. I don't know. And I'm still wondering, I guess, like it's something I'll have to like figure out as time goes on, because I think just like what we're talking about, the complexities of like the characters, like how do we make these characters like that make this work for native people, that's also everybody can see themselves in it just by chance, basically, because it's great. How do I make like great music for native people and for the collaborators I get to collaborate with, that is it going to put the music in a place that will be seen one-dimensionally by outside audiences? And that's really hard with drums. So as of right now, but
Great drum dilemma.
yeah, it's the great drum dilemma. For some cultures, it's the great trill dilemma. Like it's the modes. It's the like, what is it? Like, how do you do it? And so next workshop, maybe I'll have more answer. But hopefully, hopefully.
Is there going to be rock in it? Like ABC type?
Rock? Oh, is it going to be rock in it? Oh, because of the time period?
I mean, maybe. I feel like world, you know, so it's 1984. It's not.
We have one more question over here.
I'm just thinking of the history of the building and the land there.
Yeah.
First it being a military hospital over there, and then all the abuse that happened. And I moved a lot when I became the history of the place, like it was a new subdivision, it was really cut away, I felt that. If there were a lot of trees growing, I felt that. And so I'm wondering whether it would be nice to go to a school, even if the school had improved, of having that heavy history.
Yeah, I think like that's another really important like context that like art can give us is to like see things differently, right? Like if you know something, I think about like New York. So I went to school in New York, and there's a subway like bridge that comes above ground. And I was always like, I wonder why that is. And then my composition teacher actually told me, he's like, oh, well, that's like a fault line there. And so then he was talking about like they couldn't dig underground because things are gonna like collapse in. And so now you like see that place differently. Like you see that piece of land differently. And that's kind of like a weird example, but I think if you have a even like an inkling or like a small understanding of like what has come, why the land is that way, why have we built in this way on the land, like you just start to see everything differently. Like you see the more, like that's like being in relation to land, right? Like we're in relation to each other, but to really be in relation to each other, we must be in relation to land as well. And so I think it's I know it's not necessarily like an answer to any sort of question, but yeah, but I think you're right. Like I think as like humans, as all humans, like we have a pull to have relation to land, and we, because of the loss and suppression of indigenous culture, a lot of that knowledge isn't readily, easily available to people to know how to have a relationship with land. So maybe that's what you're feeling, you know?
Music gives you a way to connote that the environment, and then put the story on top of that.
It does make me, it makes me have one more question, which is kind of an Amber question, actually, of like, how does it feel to have this here in this space? And have you had opera in this space before? I guess for all the NACN folks, like, how has this changed your understanding or like your relationship to opera at all? How's that been?
Yes, well, even myself personally, this is my first experience with native opera. I think people seen opera. I was telling Danielle this, it's completely expanded my mind and blown me away how talented our people are in so many capacities. So I wanted to thank you for that generosity, and Michelle as well. You are so talented and literally number one fan now. But too, yeah, the context of this building, it keeps being historic. This is a place of land back. It's a place now where we have indigenous opera, storytelling, and it just keeps growing in that capacity of how we're being a community and how it's serving our folks who come in here looking for community and kinship. Around what you're talking about together, that's exactly what we're doing. We're community building right now. So, I don't know if Bert wants to add on to this. Bert also did a large historical part study of this building.
I mean, I don't know. I have a very critical eye on things. I'm not an actor in any way, shape, or form.
Yes, you are.
I'm an adult. I'm a lot more comfortable behind the lens, so I'm like, I want to.
The only plays I've seen in this building, you've been.
Yeah.
We have arrived at you've been.
So when seeing this happen here, it's huge. I'm 43 years old, and seeing Michelle and Maddie practice, I was low-key nerding out and kind of like crying on the inside, because that was the first time I've ever seen, I'm kind of getting emotional right now, the first time I've ever seen like a native person do kind of opera. But in the back of my head, because I'm so critical, I'm like, what would this look like if it was a actual native opera, not doing this classical trained opera stuff, you know? I'm very curious of it. I'm always, because I believe that we are a people disruptive because of colonialism, and all the horrible stuff that happened after that. Like, what would that look like? What would that look like if we had our own alphabet, our own language had to develop without English, or colonialism, or even capitalism? I'm so curious about that. In the play, there's a little line that I really kind of latch onto, and it's like the same thing that happens over and over and over and over again in Native communities, indigenous communities, tribal communities, where it's like it's kind of on us to figure it out. Like, especially here in the United States, it's like government's over here making decisions for all of us, and then we have to react and have to be and step up to this moment that's constantly happening, and the goal keeps being pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. So when the students are like, how can we save the school? I'm just like, wow, dude, this is the community that they built for themselves. This is what they know, home of Ruiz, the matriarch, because like you said, the mother-student-child relationship is huge in our community. It's huge. Like when the dad leaves, not that it always happens, but the family comes to and takes care of the kid, and you see that back on my res all the time. But it's like, there's so many similarities and stuff, and now I'm rambling, I don't need to take up anyone's time.
And dad goes back to his mother.
Yeah, it's always the mom. It's always the mom. And then sometimes I feel like this world would be so much better if there's the moms. Not all these men. It's crazy. Anyway, I digress.
No, absolutely. I mean, absolutely. I think that totally, like, and I'm sure Michelle completely relates to, like, wow, like, I'm trained, I went to a school that is literally on, like, land that was, like, Lenape cooking, you know, and, like, that's just, like, horrible, like, and the training that we have had as, like, classical musicians, like, how do we, like, be in conflict with that fact at the same time? And what I think of is Dee and Danae Yazzie, who I'm sure you guys all know here in Portland. They are a artist, an incredible visual artist, and I listened to them speak one time, and people ask that, like, why do you do this? Where do you get this, like, inspiration? And basically they answered, they were like, I don't have any allegiance to this language. I don't have any allegiance to this art form. Like, I don't have allegiance to this. And I think that's what makes them such a fearless artist. And so it's like, I try to look at classical music or like Western music in that way. Like, I have no allegiance to this. Like, I can be like fully open in that way. It's a constant like journey to be more open in that way, and to find my allegiance like within my community and what we work with art right now.
And I would add to that, just as a director, I directed an opera. That was one where I met Danielle a year and a half ago, and Michelle. And my way of disrupting that Western form is you bring in care where there's usually harm. And so that's a major thing, because I mean, when I meet Native actors and meeting Native singers for the first time and composers, and just like, because going through that academia and the white American performing arts structure, it's so you're a commodity and you're not cared for and you're not loved, and that almost in a way, it's so ironic, because as Native artists, we're doing this because we want it to positively affect our communities, but in order to do it, we have to literally go through so much harm in order to understand that form. So as a director, I just want to like, okay, we're going to pause and we're going to have care for each other, we're going to take care of each other, and whatever I can do, if it isn't a predominantly white institution, I just want to be there as the director, stop the rest of the world coming into that room where I just want to create safety. So, yeah, it really takes a whole team in order to make Native performing arts. Because you need everybody like playing defense and offense, right?
Yeah. It's really like collectively creating Western art form, they're always like, how do we like collectively create? Which I've always been like, this is so random. And then you walk into like you like walk into a rehearsal and they're like, no, we don't have a conductor. And they think that's what collectively creating is. And I'm like, that's like not, like I'm not even just saying that as a conductor, but they're like, we have no leader. And I was like, that's not what like collaboration means. It means we lead in what we know and we care for each other and we like, and there's process and like, and so I just think that's funny. I don't know. Like, I think that, yeah, like you start with care and that makes people their best and it brings out the best in them and then we lead each other in what we can and what we know. And yeah.
Lead each other and help we care in what we know. I think that's a great place for this to end for today. Thank you all so much for being here.